Hello there and welcome back to another edition of the Hot Lap Classic. This time take a look at the 1995 Nissan 200SX. This car was requested by Boost and Ethanol. It is known as the K's in the international release, however for whatever reason in this particular version of the game this car does not have that designation. It's just known as the 200SX. Nissan Silvia's not predominantly done well on this track, mostly because they're rear-wheel drive and rather drifty, and I don't think this one's going to particularly change that boat. Front engine rear-wheel drive, 397 horsepower, decent enough amount of torque, 1058 kilos. They're decent enough stats, just not for a short course like ours, and this racing mod, not really a huge fan of it, gotta be honest. It comes in another colour, can't quite remember what it was, but I went with the white one on this particular car. Anyways, it is going to get 6 laps of the Motorsports Land track to set the best time it possibly can. Our current leader is a Suzuki Escudo Pikes Peak Edition, as that time of 27.710. The 200SX unlikely to beat that. Now, previous 200SXs are hovering around the 32 mark. The Nissan 200SX Q's Aero, which is a slightly newer version of this car, which had a little bit less power if I remember rightly, that has got a 32.741. The Nismo 270R has a 32.2, I believe, so, yeah, I mean, the Nismo 270R didn't have a racing mod, so maybe this is where this will go. I mean, the 200SX Type X's, I'm not sure where they've gone. I think technically they are S14s as well, they're just a different, I don't know Silvias very well, mostly because I don't really like these cars. They're just not my cup of tea. They're sort of boring-looking Nissan coupes that sure have rear-wheel drive and I'm sure have wonderful engines and all the rest of it, but I just don't care. Right. Of course, we have turbos in these. I believe all the Nissan Silvias in this game are turbo cars. I think I've spoken ad nauseum about the sort of weird naming culture of these cars, so if you're not recognising the name 200SX, do not worry. In the Japanese release of this game, these cars were referred to as 180SXs, and in the North American they were referred to as 240SXs. The truth of the matter is, some of them are 180SXs, some of them are 200SXs, some of them are 240SXs. Statistically, they sort of change. I believe, in terms of actual statistics, this one is the 180, I think. Some of them, if they have about 150 horsepower, that makes them the 240SXs. If they have like 200, then I think that's either 200SX or 180SX. I think they both produced around 200 horsepower. Of course, if you lived in the UK, these cars are, well, referred to as the 200SXs, and they look a bit awkward if you buy a UK model. I don't think they did one for this generation, but I do know the later generation of the S14, the facelift, did indeed come to the UK, and by all accounts was a pretty interesting car. I've actually seen a couple of them in real life, and yeah, the EU body styling is not a good touch to these cars. They have like really weird looking plate holders, and also just like an awkward front grille. I'm not quite sure why Nissan Europe decided to do that with them, but they did. So yeah, this car, by the looks of it, is a Japanese model. Can't really tell because the racing mod's gone out. I do think they do actually have the European 200SXs in this game, and they definitely do in later Gran Turismo games, because it was in Gran Turismo 3. You could get the 200SX. Anyways, that's sort of your Nissan Silvia naming weirdness done and over with. As far as the car goes to drive, it is a Nissan Silvia, which, yeah, you sort of just saw what that means there. It means that they do like to let go of their rear ends occasionally. They'd rather be drifting around this track than actually driving around this track, and they're not that surprising in terms of their driving capabilities. And indeed, in terms of the time of this one, it's not that interesting or exciting or surprising. Anyways, a 32.463 for the S14. About what I was expecting, to be honest with you. I wasn't actually expecting it to be as quick as the Q's, interestingly enough, but apparently it is. And there is an aero package for this car in this game as well, and that should in theory be quicker because the aero packages did handle nicely. The sector times are a little bit weird, but the fact of the matter is we did set a time, and a 32.463 will put this car into 151st place. it is down on the 200SX Type X. It is slightly quicker than the aforementioned Q's Aero. In terms of its time, it goes in between a Nissan Almera and a Mazda Demio. It is slightly quicker than the Skyline R31, interestingly enough. Yeah, a solid enough time, and I'm just trying to look. The 270R was a 32.208, and the version 1 of the Type X was a 32.280, so there you go. As far as Silvias go with one of them ones. Anyways, I want to thank you all very much for watching this edition of the Hot Lap Classic, and until next time, farewell.